The veteran Dave White, co-driver Greg Wilkins have been inspired this weekend, bringing in the number 4 Porsche, third fastest. Longtime Formula Ford racer Major Lewis McKenzie sits in the second row with teammate Paul Duckworth in their Camaro. Between the Porsche of Emelin Roy and the Grossman's Camaro, Camaro on the right, it is Porsche on the left, and we've got the green flag, and quickly the Porsche simply outdrags the Camaro going into turn 1.
Right up the top of turn 1. Now this will, in a lot of cases, corner 1 coming down to the 2-3-4 combination here. A lot of passing will happen earlier on. Sometimes a little contact is made down here as everybody jockeys for position. And of course, what always surprises us, we know it's a 3-hour race, but it always looks like a 5-minute sprint by the as everyone gets, and the safety car following through there.
So it is Emelin and Roy quickly opening up the lead on the Grossman's Camaro. Another Camaro, that of David Thorndike, currently running in third place. Fourth belongs to another Camaro, Paul Duckworth, and then another Porsche, Greg Wilkins. So we've got Porsches leading 3 Camaros, and sitting in 5th, a Porsche. Does the heavier Camaro suffer here as you see some of the passing now, setting them up as we ride on board now with Greg Wilkins?
Not really. The Porsches are going to have a little advantage with braking. The Camaro's a little advantage with power, so it should all sort itself out. We're following Tony DeBico here, and Wilkins is heading up under the Michelin bridge through corner 12, and watch the Porsche now. We'll see if he will not try to do a little heavy braking on the inside coming up in the Nameros.
Yeah, now this is one of my favorite spots on the track. This is when you come down, and this is Namero Corner. Really, it is maybe 2, some people say 3 corners in 1.
The Grand Sport cars have to be careful as they work their way through.
And that's where we go, back to the Grand Sport, Gary, in the battle for 5th. The number 25 of Tony DeBico and the number 4 of Greg Wilkins.
Greg doing a fine job in that Porsche. I would expect that he will up the pace a tiny bit and look for a way past those 2 Camaros, as he would like to probably get closer to Emelin.
I tell you what, you sure notice a different line in terms of the Porsche behind and the Camaro. One seems to want to brake a little deeper than the other.
Well, DeBico using up a little more racetrack there, trying to keep that Porsche behind him. But Wilkins is pressing pretty hard, and my guess is he's going to take a run at it any moment here, and more than likely under braking. The Camaro's having a little more power than the Porsches, but the Porsche's definitely having the advantage in braking here at Tremblant.
Well, a little more nimble, you would think. And let's get a look now as they go up the back straight. You know what? If you've seen Mosport, a little reminiscent. You know that first little hump? But then after that, it's all Mont Tremblant from here.
Drops away. Now watch the Camaro pull away about 2 or 3, 4 car lengths, but Wilkins should, under braking, come right back up on the rear bumper and gather the TN Racing Camaro and start to push him now through the gulch, and starting to look for a way to get by here. He knows he's got the Camaro under pressure.
Boy, and you can see it just by the way it sort of fishtails out of the corners, trying to put the power to the pavement, and maybe that's again where the Porsche has an advantage of laying the power down.
Much more nimble. And now up in the Nameros, and there goes the braking. A quick pop out. Wilkins moving through under braking. Nice job.
But you know something, the Camaro, had the line been a little better, may have been able to get him back, because the Porsche, by doing that, had to go a little wider.
A tiny bit wider, but he had the car beautifully set, down on the track, nice and tight. So fine job on the pass.
And sharing the drive with Greg Wilkins is David White.
Well, from all indications, Greg Wilkins is doing an excellent job in the Merrill Lynch Molson's Take Care Porsche 944. He indicates everything is running smoothly, and I think he's having a good time out there. I think I'll probably have to tell him to come in because he doesn't want to come in. So everything's running very smoothly right now. It's great.
Hey, listen, Gary, you don't want to come in if you're doing as well as Wilkins. Now he's putting pressure on the number 67 of Thorndike.
And probably, Vic, if we watch this carefully, he's going to do a very similar move on this Camaro. The Porsche definitely having the brakes on the Camaro. Again, you see the car lengths that the Camaro's able to pull down the straight. Wilkins will gather him up under braking, squeeze him through corners 10, 11, and 12, and maybe line him up at Nameros. Hard on the brakes, down into the gulch. Get that car set. You've got to get right to the outside of the track. You get hard on the brakes, squeeze to the left again.
Now, are we worrying about that squeal in the brakes at all?
No, disc brakes just make a bit of noise. Not a problem at all. The Camaro just pulling about a half a car length. Car length now as the Camaro's able to accelerate away, but look at the braking again. Wilkins right down the inside, squeezing that Porsche down on the track, doing a fine job. right to the outside. Now the job he has to do is to keep that Camaro at bay. Not quite.
Yeah, you see, better though. There's that Thorndike coming right back. Now the horsepower. Yes, sir. That's Chevy power for you, as the American car shows the tail end to the German Porsche.
So again, Wilkins following Thorndike down over the top of 1 and 2. Hard-braking 3. Wilkins looking for a way through again. Squeezes past under braking. Thorndike is not giving up on this one, but he's just a little bit behind getting through.
Their Chevy Camaro, but under a lot of pressure from the Porsche of Greg Wilkins and David White. Wilkins behind the wheel right now, and he's still in the top 5 while Sharp has struggled.
So Wilkins coming up to lap Sharp here, and you can see when the cards are that even, it's going to take Wilkins a bit of time to get by as we sit behind the wheel in that Porsche. On the brakes hard, and he takes the inside line. Nicely done, as he's done, gosh, about 3. That's going down into the big loop now, out onto the straight. Now there's a chance that the Camaro could draft the Porsche and repass him, and that looks like just about what's going to happen. So Wilkins has got to now line up Sharp in a place where he can pass him and not get repassed on the straight.
Yeah, the point is, though, here you don't want to be on that inside line, do you? I mean, you have to tuck yourself back in behind that Porsche.
Now Wilkins taking the outside and out braking the Camaro. Camaro having a little problem there, looks a little loose in the back end, and Wilkins sitting on the track a lot tighter.
Yeah, you can see now one car will be there at the finish. This is David White checking the watch saying, hey, Greg Wilkins, when are you coming in with that Porsche?
Bring that car in, it's my turn, and look at this, Vic. Whoa, the leader.
Richard Waugh, and that is the number 4. That is Greg Wilkins. So it looked like Wilkins was slowing down, getting ready to go into pit lane there on the left, and then Waugh hit the brakes too late.
Under braking, just going up the inside. The brakes are all locked up. I mean, he's going in a straight line. The front wheels are not turning. Now he releases the brakes as he bounces off Wilkins' Porsche. See the hood pop up on the Porsche. Goodness gracious.
Little puff of black smoke from underneath the Wilkins Porsche.
So a little bit of body damage there.
And so finally, David White will get his taste here at Mont Tremblant.
Well, it started out pretty good, and it's kind of a hot day, so it got kind of slippery towards the end. But the track's in good shape. A couple of bumps out there that make it interesting, but all in all, it was a good race.
Yeah, interesting bumps indeed, and one of them from this man as they rounded Namuro, Richard Waugh. Welcome back. It's round 2 of the Michelin Enduro Series here on TSN from Le Circuit Mont Tremblant as we watch the GS class battle. A little bit back, though, Gary, between the number 4, David White, and the 44 Camaro of Chris Shoebridge.
David, of course, taking, when Wilkins was in the car took a little hit from the leader, Amelin, and Waugh in the Porsche, but the car seems to run. Look at those bumps. They are really moving around on that racetrack. David doing a fine job. On board with David now as he tracks the Camaro, and again, the Porsche pulling out under braking, sliding down underneath as they exit corner 8 out onto the straight, and it'll be interesting to see if the Porsche can maintain the lead down that long straight. The Camaro right behind. And there it goes, the Camaro pulling out, drawing parallel. And we'll see what station they hold, Vic, as they head down into corner 10 at the end of the straight now.
Now, we've seen this before. Now, if you're Shoebridge, you've got to make the move inside. He can't hold that line, and no, White will hold him off.
And David puts another lap on Shoebridge.
And you're right, you know, after being tagged by Amelin earlier, that Porsche, no damage at all, and you would have thought that right front quarter panel might have, you know, ended up rubbing the tire or something, but I think they got a little lucky.
They did, no problem at all. David doing a fine job here as he sets up for Namuro, squeezing that brake pedal.
Remember, it was Shane Grossman that started, and this is Sean Grossman now, the older of the Grossman brothers. Inside.
Whoa, and comes down the inside and goes for the lead.
What a great move by Sean Grossman as he takes over the lead. After this entire race, sitting back in second place, Grossman is now your leader.
And coming out of corner 6 into corner 7, an amazing place to pass. Very nice bit of driving. Now this is the corner leading onto the straight now. And we'll watch and see what'll happen here. And in theory, the Camaro should be able to pull a couple of car lengths on the Porsche.
Oh, you're right there. Look at that.
Now the Porsche may be able to get him under braking down the end, but he's not close enough to do it at all. So Grossman's maintained the lead down into
as we come
10.
back to the Grand Sport, and there is your leader, and now starting to stretch it out, Sean Grossman leading Richard Roy in the Porsche.
Heading into the pits, Vic.
No, come on.
He is. He's pitting. He's got to go in for that splash of fuel.
Unbelievable. He's going to give the lead back to the Porsche after he worked so hard to get it. Now he's going to give it back because he needs fuel. Stop for fuel was enough as Richard Roy is able to hold off the Grossman Camaro and win their second straight race. Remember, they won an earlier event in Montreal. Giving up the lead once, but then holding off Grossman in the Camaro. Wilkins in white, McDonald and Hessinger.